Hello, and welcome to today's tutorial on using JTree to select information. In this tutorial, we will use JTree to select a particular node and display that information. What we will do is we'll build up our JTree in the way we've seen before, using our tree node, and then we will create a class that will be notified each time a new node is selected within our JTree. We will then take an object based on this class, and we will inform our JTree that we are interested in being notified every time one of these events occurs. And we'll see that as we click from node to node, our object will be told that something has changed, and from that we'll be able to display that information onto the screen, and we'll end up with something very much like what we have over here. So that's what we're looking to do. Let's go do it. So let's switch to our development environment, which for us we use Eclipse, and we will start by creating a new project, Java project, and we'll give this project a name, so we'll call it JTree Select. We're going to use Java 1.7, and we'll keep the rest of the defaults as they are. And that will create us a project with the folders we need. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right in and take a look at some of the code, and we'll talk about things as we go through. So I'm going to start off by creating a new class. I'll put it in the package examples .jtree. When we start our program, we're going to have a class that implements the main method, which is going to be our entry point to the program. And then, just like we have in previous JTree tutorials, we're going to create a class that creates a JTree on a panel that we can add into our application. But we're also going to create another class that has another panel that is going to be used to display information that is selected from our JTree. So I'm going to start with that particular class here. So we're going to call this class Pizza Panel. And this class is going to implement an interface, and it's going to implement the TreeSelectionListener interface. And what that's basically saying is that this class has the ability to receive messages from about tree selection and act on them. So we'll press our finish button there, and that will produce our class stub. So I'm going to create a couple of private methods first. Private items JPanel, very similar to what we've done in the past. And then we're going to have a JLabel, and the JLabel we're going to use for displaying the information about what's been selected. So we'll just import those two items. Now we want a constructor for this class. And I'm just going to call an initialize method, which I'm now going to create. And in my initialize method, I'm going to set my info to a new JLabel. And we're going to set this to a default value selection shows here. So when we start up, we'll see this text displayed in our pizza panel. or we will do once we've added it to our panel.
So that's that.
Done. And that's all we need on our constructor as well. I could have just put it all in there, but I tend to get in habits of doing things and then I continue doing that. And like we've done in the past, we need a public method to get hold of our panel to return to whoever wants to use it. And we'll just do a return. Now when we said we implemented TreeSelectionListener, what we also got was a ValueChanged method here. As you can see, we're overriding it from the class we implemented from. And this is the bit of code that will run every time we get a message. Every time the system says, here's a message from the JTree you're listening to, this is the code that we will run. So this is the code where we need to actually do whatever we want it to do. So I'm just going to change the argument here to TreeSelectionListener. So TreeSelectionListener get new lead selection path. And we're testing to make sure that it's not null. Because it may be that you've selected nothing. So you may have clicked somewhere where you've actually not selected anything in the tree. If you've selected something in the tree, then that's what we're interested in. And I'm going to set the text to TreeSelectionListener dot new lead selection path, which is basically you can have many nodes under nodes, so you can have quite a hierarchy, and that's just the path down through the hierarchy. And we obviously want the last path component, the one at the end. So we'll get the string value of that rather than cast it. Okay, so long as we have selected something in the tree, our info text, our string info will change its value, and because it's in the panel, we'll see it updated on the panel and changed. So that's the part that's you're going to see on the right hand side of the application frame. So I'm just going to save that now, and we're done with that for the moment. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create another class, keep it in the examples JTree package. We're going to call this JTree example 2, and it's going to extend from the J frame. And we'll have a main method. We will create a constructor. Using the simple default constructor. Give it a title, set the layout. Okay, now we're calling here, we've got this get split pane. So what we're doing is we're going to create a new method. Private method get split pane, and that's going to return not a component as it's created there, but a JSplit pane. And what we're going to, I'm going to come back to this, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a, I'll do that bit now. I'm going to create a split pane, JSplit pane. Now that's a pane, but it's got a divider line in the middle, and you have the option to be able to leave it so you can slide it from left to right, or you can fix it at a certain point. And it's a good way of splitting up two areas, splitting up an area into two, and that's what we're going to use it here for. The JTree will go on the left, and the pizza panel that we just created earlier will go on the right. So we'd say JSplit pane split pane equals a new JSplit pane, and we're going to say, because we're going to use a horizontal bar to divide it up. You can use a vertical horizontal split. There, and then we can return our split pane. Now that won't do what we wanted to do at the moment, we're going to come back to that, but that's just created our split pane. The other thing we have is a main method, so let's event queue, invoke later. Okay, so we're going to create an instance of this class we're in here. And invoke our constructor up above. I'm going to set the app to visible and pack it. And that's all we need to do on the main method. So all we're doing here is we're just creating an instance of it and we're making it visible. All the work is being done elsewhere, mainly by the constructor. So the other thing we're going to do is I'm going to create another private method called pizza panel, and this is going to get the right panel container. I've used the word container because it's not actually going to return the panel, it's going to return an object that has a method for getting the panel. So I'm just going to simply return a new pizza panel. So the class we created earlier, all this method is going to do is create a new instance of that class and return it to whoever invoked the class. And we're going to take the exact same approach with the part on the left hand side, which is going to be the JTree. So that's going to be called JTree panel 3. returning the container, not the actual panel. Now this is showing an error because we haven't actually created this class yet. So it's asking me whether I want to create the class, and I'm saying yes, I do. And it just creates the class for me. But what I'm going to do is, this is exactly the same class as used in the tutorial for the JTree hierarchy. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to copy all of that code and put it in here. So if you want to know about any of the detail for this particular class, then go and have a look at that tutorial, and that'll explain what's in here. But essentially it's just creating a hierarchical tree structure with a whole load of pizza options in it. So we did we haven't done the finish the get split pane. Right. So now what we can do is we can do okay, so that's getting the tree on the that will go on the left hand side. And that's getting the pizza panel that will go on the left hand side.
So,
The one thing we have to do with that's different, I'm switching to the JTree panel 3, which is where we create our JTree. There's one thing we have to change in here from what we did with the hierarchy, and that is we have to provide a method of being able to get hold of this JTree object, and I'll explain why in a minute. So what I'm going to do is go to the end of my class, and then I'm going to generate getters and setters. And I want to be able to get tree1, which is my tree. I can make it protected, but I'll make it public for now. And all that will do is return that item there. Now, the reason why I'm going to do that is we come back to our JSplitPane or getSplitPane method. Now we've got hold of the two containers. So we've got hold of the object that contains the JTree, and we've got hold of the object that contains the label. But what we actually need to do is say to our JTree, if there's any events that happen, this class we're currently in, the JTree example 2, wants to be informed of any events that take place that are of type selection. Because if you recall, when we select a node, we want to know about it so that we can do something. And sorry, I said that this class wants to know about it. Actually, this class doesn't want to know about it. What wants to know about it is the pizza panel class, but we will wire them up here. So we get hold of the left panel that contains the JTree item, and then we will call our left pane, and then we will call our get JTree1, which gets us our JTree object, and then from there we can add, because it's a JTree, we know it will have a JTree selection listener. And then we will pass it our right pane, which is capable of receiving messages, is capable of being a listener for a selection. So what will happen now is, as we select things in our JTree, our pizza panel will get notified in that method that we wrote, and it will change the class. We don't have to do anything now. We don't need to worry about it. All the wiring's in place. It will just happen. So we've wired that up. The next thing we need to do is just below where we've created our split pane, we now need to add into our split pane our various panels. So we've added our left pane first, then we've added our right pane into the split pane. So by default, the first one will go on the left, the second one will go on the right. So we can save that, and now we can run it. And just blur that up a little more. So there's the split pane I was on about, and how you can move it from side to side. There's the selection shows here, and as you can see we haven't selected anything, and then you've got your things here. So if I click thick crust, I'll get thick crust, cheese, pepperoni, thin crust, ham, pineapple. So there you are. As we've selected things, we're displaying things. Now I've chosen to display items from the actual nodes, but you don't have to. The node can be associated with some other data item, and when you click on the node, it can supply information about the underlying data item associated with that node. But that's basically how you get going. So what we saw in this tutorial was we took our JTree that we're quite familiar with, and we registered somebody who was interested in the events that were going to happen to that JTree, and as we got notified about those events, we took some action based on that, and in this particular case we displayed some information relating to the node that was selected in our JTree. So there we are. We've seen how to use our JTree to display information based on what is selected. Thank you for taking the time to watch this tutorial. As usual, if you want any of the source code to help you save time typing it in, go to www.softwarepulse.co.uk and you can download it there. We do ask for your email address so that we can send you that information, and we'll also use it to let you know about anything new on the site, any new tutorials or courses. You can of course unsubscribe at any time you wish. So once again, thank you very much for listening, and we hope you've enjoyed it.